Hey guys, today I want to show you how to change the rear brake pads on a 2001 Ford Mustang V6. Before you begin, you're going to need, of course, new brake pads, some brake cleaner, and sometimes you can get these on sale, AutoZone, with some .3 fluid, which is what this car uses, .3. Plus, you're also going to need this tool right here. You can rent one out at AutoZone or your local auto parts. It's a disc brake caliper tool, or you could buy one. I bought this at Amazon. It's cheap. I think it was like $22. Plus, the tools you're gonna need is it's a ratchet with a size 12 millimeter. So there you go. Now you're also gonna need some brake caliper grease. This is really good. You need to have this. Plus, if your new brake pads didn't come with this one right here, you're gonna need one of those, and you could buy this at AutoZone too. I think it's brake disc hardware kit, and if you strip one of the bolts, you can get also a kit. It's a pin kit with the bolts too, for like $5.99 plus the whole set. I think it was like $16.99 for that one. And a lot of videos on YouTube, they don't show that those kits, and a lot of people have been installing their rear brake pads without the little clips, and that is wrong. And when I was checking this car out, they didn't have those clips right here at the brake pads, so I'm going to show you how to install them. And whoever did this last, they didn't do it right, so I want to show you how to do it correctly. Now, before we jack up the car, we need to loosen up the bolts on the rear tire. So let's get started. Now, to remove this, you just use a screwdriver and pop it out. There you go. Now, I think this was a size 19 or 22. Let's see, size 21. Just loosen these up. Don't remove them completely. Just get them loose. Now I got them all loose, and before we jack up the tires, make sure to put some blocks or something on your wheels so the car doesn't move forward or back. That's just a little safety measure. Now we're ready to begin to jack up the car, and you can see right here underneath the spot where you put the jack, right there. And then we're ready to jack up the tire. Now, as a safety measure, we're going to add this jack stand, just to make sure if the jack falls or goes, the jack stand's going to hold it up. Now we're ready to remove the bolts or the nuts. And now we're ready to remove the tire. And once you remove it, I like to place it under the car just for safety. There you go. So if the car falls, it's gonna fall on the tire. You're not gonna get hurt over here. So now we're ready to check out those old brake pads. And as you can see, these are the brake pads, but over here you can see we're missing that shim, so it wasn't installed correctly. So let's remove the old brake pads and install the new ones. Now, to remove the old brake pads, we're gonna have to use a size 12. Now, I got this Craftsman toolkit, which keeps everything organized, which is pretty cool. Plus, I got some deep sockets right there. Now, to remove the old brake pads, we're gonna have to remove two bolts. This one right here, and the bottom one over here. And these are size 12. So we're going to be using a little extension, this right here, and size 12, which is this one right here. Now, in order to remove these bolts, like I said, use a 12mm socket, but make sure you have a 6-sided one because these bolts strip easily. Now, since they haven't been removed in a long time, you're gonna need something like this, like an extension, to give you that torque. So just place it over here like this, and then use that to give you more leverage and remove that bolt. Now that you got it loose, it's time to get the bottom one loose. Don't completely remove the top one. Now for the bottom one, as you can see, it's going to be hard because there's a spring right there and it doesn't let you get to that bolt. So a lot of people use this right here. Where's the 10, the 12? One of these. But the problem with these, they only grip on 2 sides, so you might strip it. You use this one and you can't get it off, you might strip it. So if it starts stripping with that, instead use a 1/4-inch socket with a little extension. Let's see, use that 1/4-inch section and a size 12. Now with this one, as you can see, it gives you a little bit more, but if you push this spring right here upwards and make it fit, it goes in a little bit. So now we're ready to take it off. All we have to do is use an extension right here to give you some torque, and that's it. And now that we got it loose, as you can see, don't take it off completely. What we're gonna be doing is putting one of these lock nuts right here, and this is gonna hold this in place so it doesn't move on us. It's gonna make it a lot easier since we're only changing the brake pads. Now if you're changing this, just check it out if it has too many lines right here, and if it's gone bad, you can change it out, but this one still looks pretty good. Now we're ready to remove this, but before we take it off, we're going to be taking out the brake line, which goes from there through the bottom to over here. I don't know if you can see it. Now this is the brake line. We're going to be pulling this out, and then we're going to be removing a clip right here. This clip, we're going to use a flathead screwdriver just to pry it out. It should come out easily. And this, we simply put it out and move it over here to the back, and it'll come out. And to do this, we're going to use some pliers. Basically just grab onto them like this and then pull it out, and we're going to be moving it that way. And now we're ready to remove the guide pin. Maybe you can see it somewhere. Let's see, where is it? Right there. Just pry it off and it falls off. It fell way over there. Now we can remove these bolts, starting from the bottom one. There's one, now the top one. Now the caliper is loose. Now we can take it off. Now if it doesn't want to come off, you can use a flathead screwdriver and pry it off, but be careful because we don't want to put pressure on the brake line, so make sure to move it over here so the brake line doesn't break off like this. And let's see, I'm gonna move it there for now because it's not adding pressure. It's being held on by that brake line over here. Now we can see the old brake pad fell off. It still has plenty of life left, but the reason why I'm changing it because it was making strange sounds, because the whole caliper needs to move sideways, and because it didn't have the shims right here at the side, you can see these sharp corners. They dig in here, and it doesn't allow them to move back and forth. And these right here, there's another shim that goes right there, and because it didn't have it, it doesn't allow for movement. Now you can see it's still in good condition, but I don't think it was braking correctly because there was no movement back and forth. Now, in order to give us more space and put the new shim right here at the caliper, we're gonna have to remove the brake line. And remember, we removed that clip. Now we could just push it back inside, and you could remove the brake line. And this we can put it on top. That way, it allows us to install the brand new shim. Let's see, we can remove the brake line by pushing it in like this. Now we can move this on top. Make sure it doesn't fall. There you go. And as you can see, there's no shim right here. We're going to be installing that one. Now we're going to get the new brake pads. Here are the new ones. And with the hardware, they should come with these clips right here. And I'm going to show you how to put them on. There's these. But unfortunately, mine didn't come with a little shim. And you could buy it brand new ones. This is the brake caliper hardware kit, and it comes with new rubber boots, those little shims, plus the one I'm going to be using is this one right here. And these should come with your brake pads. The front ones did, but the rear ones didn't, but they should come with these. And this allows the new brake pads to move along here, and as you can see, it's a smooth surface, so it allows smooth movement. Now there's many how-to videos on YouTube on how to change your brake pads, but none of them show how to install this and how to install this rattle clips right here. And you need to have them on for your brake pads, otherwise they're not going to work correctly. You're not going to be able to stop correctly. Although they say that 70% of your stopping power is from the front brake pads, you still want to use the 30% over here, so you need to have them on correctly. Now I'm going to be showing you how to install these clips on your brake pad. Hopefully you can see correctly. I moved indoors, that way you can see better, and I'm out of the way of the sunlight. Now to remove this rattle clips, they call them rattle clips, it's very easy. All you have to do is see that corner. We're going to use it like this, and this clip goes on like this, and we just put them inside like this, and then we're going to twist it, and they go like that. Now you can see that center clip, it's like pushing in. We wanted to push it out, so we're going to use a screwdriver, and what we're going to do is pry. Let's see if we can focus. We're going to pry that the center one out so it could fit correctly. Now here we have the clip. I'm going to try to pry this out a little bit, just like that, and a little bit more. And then when we put this like this, let's see, it's hard to do while recording. Now it should look like this, with this sticking out a little bit, you see, and it's all the way pushed in like this. That's how it should look like. Now let's do the other side. Now, as we can see, this clip right here on the other side, you're gonna have to do same thing for all the clips. Push it out like this. Not too much. I think I went a little bit overboard, but I mean that's a lot better. Now, to install this again, we're gonna go like this. Push it in like this, and then twist it on. There you go. Now, as you can see, it's in, but it's not all the way pushed in. So we're gonna push this, the whole clip, in. So try to get it in, but this clip is not. This one right here is not letting me in. So we're gonna push it out like this, and then push the whole clip in. That way, it's all the way in like this, and it's securely held. But there you go. And you do the same thing for the other brake pad. And let's continue. Now we have our brake pads ready, and before we install this shim right here, we're gonna have to move the brake piston right here in. And to do that, we're gonna use this special tool. Like I said, it's available at AutoZone. You can rent it out. Now, the way you use this tool is you get one of these that's the right size that fits right here, like this, and then you put it here, and this thing is magnetic. It goes in. Oh, come on. There you go. You can see it's magnetic, and this goes inside. Like, now with this, we push it inside. We might need to screw it. There you go. There you go, like this. Now this is wrong, like this. Once you got it there, you can tighten it by turning it to the left. And what this does, when you turn it to the left, it pushes this way, so you get it tight, nice and tight. And make sure those grooves align right there. Once it's nice and tight, you can tighten this. You're going to turn it to the right until this piston goes in, and in the meantime, you're going to be tightening this by turning it to the left. Every turn you do from there, you got to do another turn on this one. And before we start turning that, we need to loosen the cap on the master cylinder, which is over here. That's going to allow some air inside the system, and it's going to make it easier as for turning the cylinder. Now we're ready to turn in the brake cylinder or brake piston, and now we're done turning the brake piston. Make sure these grooves right here are vertical because they're going to be aligning with the new brake pads. So basically, those little tabs right here, they're going to be aligning with that little groove right there at the bottom. So that's going to hold it in place when it goes on the brake disc. Now we're ready for this right here, this little shim. And installation is very easy. Like I said, it goes in like this, all the way in. And try to push it in. Now that we got it in, we got to push it inside that way. So it's kind of hard to do with one hand. It goes like this, and now it's on. And to verify, I'm going to turn it over, and as you can see, it goes over that edge right there, the little bump, and it's on. Now we're ready to install the brake pads. Now before we install the brake pads, we're going to check these right here. These are the guide pins, and looks like this one is a little bit harder to remove, but there's some movement. So in order to check and make sure the boots are not broken, if they are, like I said, you can buy a kit which has brand new rubber boots right there, and that kit is $16.99 and includes all the hardware that you need, including the bolts and everything. Except it doesn't come with the guide pins. For the guide pins, they sell them for $6.99 for a kit, and it has 2 guide pins plus the bolts that go in here. So they're not too expensive. So what you do is take them off, make sure they're well lubricated. It looks like the previous person that did this added a good amount of lube, so it looks pretty good. Let's check the bottom ones. I mean, this one could use a little bit more lube. So if you want to add more, you can be using this. This is brake caliper grease. This is special grease. It's high temperature, so when the brakes heat up, because you're constantly braking, that grease won't burn and evaporate, so it'll stay on there. So what I'm gonna be doing is just adding some grease there, and then just popping it back on. Now that I added lube, I'm gonna spin it around, make sure it's in there. The rubber boot's in there. Okay, we're good. We're also going to be lubing up the shim right here. Just the sides. You could also put on the piston right here a little bit, so it'll stick to the brake pad. We're also going to be adding right here on the sides. Make sure not to get any grease on your brake disc, because if you get any grease there, you're not going to have any stopping power. We're also going to add it on the back side and over here too, and on the back side right here. Now as you can see, everything's lubricated, and the brake disc doesn't have any grease on there. I was very careful, especially when doing the backside. Make sure you don't have any grease there. If you do, use the brake cleaner and remove it off. Make sure the brake disc remains clean. Now we're ready to install the brake pads. And like I said before, many videos doing this, they don't add these clips, and that's wrong, because the metal on the sharp corners without those little clips, they dig up in there and they don't allow movement of the brake pad. Now with this rattle clips in there, it's gonna make it harder and a little bit tighter to put in there, so you're gonna have to use a flathead screwdriver. So we're gonna begin by placing it just barely in the corner right there. Then we're gonna push down, and we're gonna be using a flathead screwdriver to push this in right here at the tip. Now as you can see, it was really hard to do it with one hand, so I had to use both. Basically, you just put in just in the corner right here. You don't put it all the way in, and then you use this flathead screwdriver to push the clip in, and then push it all the way in, and it goes in like that. Now if you're having trouble because you can't get it on the corner right here and it goes all the way too far in, it won't allow you to go in. So now a little trick, if you're having trouble, is use this pliers to put it between the brake pad and brake disc right here on the back. That way your brake pad won't go all the way in, it'll stay on the corner over here, so until you can put this one back in. Now to do the back side, the one on the rear, and this is what I meant by using the pliers. You put it between the brake disc and the brake pad, so the brake pad doesn't go all the way in. It stays just on the outside until you put the top one right here. Now the last step, you can see, is to make sure that these brake pads are all the way in. You can see this one is not quite all the way in, so make sure to push it in, and you might need to give it a nice bump with some flathead screwdriver. And as you can see, now it's all the way in. Now the last step is basically put everything back together. So we're going to start off with the brake piston. Now let's get to it. Now basically we got to be careful the line that we didn't twist it, so make sure put it in correctly. And when I put the brake piston back in, now here we have to be careful that these, as you can see, align with that groove right there. You see this flat part right here? So this needs to be flat. The bottom one needs to be flat too, so just turn it and then push them in. And before we put the bolts on, we cannot forget about that brake line. So put it in first before we put in the bolts. Now the last step is to tighten these bolts, these two. Let's don't forget to put the emergency brake, plus also this clip right here, which, like I said, just push it in. Almost in. Now we use a flathead to push it all the way in. Where is it? Oh, there it is. And it's in. There you go. Now we're ready to put back the tire back on. And before we start driving the car, we're going to turn it on and pump the brakes a few times. That's so the brake pads can adjust and actually brake, because if you start driving immediately, it won't brake. So make sure to pump the brakes a few times before you actually put it in reverse or drive. Now we're finally ready. Bring the car back down. There you go. Now bring down the jack. Oops, I went a little bit too fast. Now I need to tighten this up. And these are going to go to 80 to 100 foot-pounds of torque. So as you can see, this is an old school. And we're going to do till 80 right there, just a little bit past 80. Don't go over 100. That 100 is like too tight. So as soon as you hit 80, 85, you're good to go. And we're going to do this in a star pattern. So start on one, up, down, this way, that way. So let's get to it. And last step, don't forget to tighten this. And there you go. We are now finished with our brake pads. Alright guys, thanks for watching. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.